Hey there, podcast fans. This is Duffy Ballard. And before we start the podcast today, I want to remind everyone about our fundraiser. It's called Keep Running the Marin County, a Healthy Heart Fundraiser. We are selling our gear, t-shirts, and hoodies for good local causes that support heart health here in Marin County. And we have 1 week to go before this fundraiser comes to a close. So we want to make a pitch to check out the show notes and click through to Custom Ink and check out the gear and get your drip going and support the community and cardiac health. Dave.
What Duffy said.
All right, let's go, Luke.
Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says, "Hey, dude, you too must be from Marin." Marin County's A-OK, from Tampa, Stinson, all the way to MA. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day. The Dennis, Dylan, and NWA.
Welcome to the Run TMC podcast. That is Run the Marin County podcast, a podcast about basketball in the Marin County. I'm Duffy Ballard. And with me today, as always, is Dave Levine, coach and basketball expert, who I think is probably feeling like he's in a fine fettle after his spring break last week in Florida. He's back. He looks rested, rejuvenated. Maybe he even has a little hint of a suntan. Looking good, Dave. What do you got for us?
A hint, a dollop, a soupçon. That's a good vocab word, Duff. Dan Dibley, look up soupçon. You'll like it. I'm doing well. Duff, good to see you. Nice to be back. And we have a number of things that we want to cover today. This was going to be a fun one.
Let's talk about basketball, Dave. Where do you want to start?
Well, a lot of things to cover. First, Duff, this is not in our little script here, but I just want to say that of all the 35, so we have 35 episodes out. This is episode 36. And we've received great feedback from various people over the last months about listening to certain episodes, but nothing has compared to the feedback we've received in the last few days from the Melissa Boyle episode. So if you have not yet listened to episode 35, The Warrior with Melissa Boyle, I highly recommend you do that. She's someone that I think everybody should listen to. She's an amazing human. And as we kept saying, it's a cliche, but it's about a lot more than basketball, that episode. So just a plug, go listen to that one. Support Melissa, send her a message. She's amazing.
Yeah, well, while we're on that topic, yeah, so she, as we've talked about before, she's a profile in confronting adversity and can be a role model to everyone as to how to handle an adverse situation. And Dave, I think what's been cool with our correspondence with her after we recorded the podcast and after it went live is she's not really providing us medical updates, and we totally understand that. What she's most interested in is how many downloads of her episode we're getting. And so she's just really fired up every time we hit sort of another landmark number. She's just, jazzed up. So I think that just speaks to her character in a very cool way. You can see the type of competitor she is just through that. Yeah,
totally. Oh, the ultimate competitor. But anyway, so thanks, Melissa. Listen to it, everybody. Back to hoops. So as we were thinking about what we wanted to cover, there's been a lot of basketball news in the last couple of weeks. And one time I was at work and my boss and I were talking, and I had all these things on my plate, and he said, "Dave, just go big to small." So kind of cover the big stuff first. So I was thinking about that in the context of this episode. Let's go big to small, Duff. Let's start with the professional level. Let's go NBA, WNBA, work our way through quickly to college, and then get down to not small, but we'll call it local with high school and club basketball. Sound good?
Sure. Yep.
Okay. So NBA, we are in the fun part of the NBA season now. The regular season is done. We're about to enter the playoffs. Sadly, our Warriors, Duff, fell to our neighbors, the Kings, in the playing game. Not a shocking outcome, right? It was sort of an up and down year for the Dubs.
I feel like the way they lost maybe was a little bit shocking, given in particular that last year the Kings season ended with the Warriors, coming into Golden One and getting up by 20 plus points in the fourth quarter and just owning them. And I guess for Kings fans, this was probably pretty sweet to have the Kings do something pretty much exactly the same to the Warriors and send them out. And unfortunately, this will be a bitter pill for Warriors fans to kind of suck on for the next 6-7 months.
It's going to be a very interesting offseason for the Warriors. There's obviously a lot of media speculation that is this the end of the dynasty? Are they going to break up the big three? Are they going to not re-sign Clay? Are they going to trade Draymond? I don't think Steph's going anywhere, but tough decisions for Mike Dunleavy and Joe Lacob and the Warriors brass to make, because Clay is a free agent and wants a max deal. And, we saw, Clay's a Hall of Famer, unbelievable player, one of the greatest shooters to ever set foot on an NBA court. What is he worth? And should they pivot and get more minutes for Moody, Kuminga, BP, the younger guys? So that's a tough decision for them to make. It was sad to see Clay go 0 for 10 in that game. They could have used some buckets from him, but that wasn't the only reason they lost the game.
No, but I think honestly, if he hits 5 out of those 10 shots, it's probably a different game in the fourth quarter, and who knows what happened. So one thing that I've noticed, I'm sure other NBA fans have noticed, is that the rate of significant injuries to key players seems to go up in the playoffs, right? We've had, Zion hamstring, he's out tonight. We have
Jimmy Butler,
MCL, he's probably out tonight. And then Klay Thompson had some sort of cognitive mental injury and just took himself out of the game for the Warriors. He just was rushing it, right? He was trying too hard. And you and I both have seen that with players we've coached, that they want it a little bit too much. And it's hard to slow down in the moment, especially once you miss shots, 3, 4, 5. And by the way, Dave, you are very fortunate because our generator is going through its weekly test in the background. I don't know if you can hear that soft hum, but we're gonna get a little background noise for the rest of this episode.
Only rivaled by my Roomba that started to go during what was that, the Adrian interview, I think.
Yes, right.
That was fun. So we love the resonant hum of background noise. I will say, just to close the loop on the Warriors season, because this podcast has kind of mirrored the Warriors season, right? We started right at the beginning of the NBA season, or right before the NBA season started. The Warriors had a very up and down year, right? And we've had episodes where we were excited that they were playing great and Chris Paul was getting integrated and the young guys are playing great. And then they've had obviously some tough segments during the season. The Warriors won 46 games, Duff. That's a solid NBA season. 46-36 is a good season. In a regular kind of average NBA year, that's good enough for being a playoff team. And this year, particularly in the West, such a tough conference, 46 wins, they were the 10 seed. So they were in a play-in game, lose, you go home. So, the Warriors put together a decent year, all things considered.
Well, I believe they won only 44 games last year, right? And were the number 6 seed and advanced to the semifinals in the Western Conference. So you just look at the players and the teams in the play-in. You have, LeBron James and Anthony Davis and Zion Williamson and Fox and Sabonis. It just stacked. And these are just the teams that are on the outside trying to get in. So yeah, I agree. And one more note, and this is a sentimental note, and I had this conversation with Holden, my son, just last night, and he said, maybe the Warriors just should re-sign Draymond and Clay and keep the core of the team together, maybe add 1 or 2 other pieces and see if they can get 46, 47 wins again. Wouldn't that still be fun? And I think that's an interesting question. This is a team that's been around for a long time, won a bunch of championships. I'm sure Joe Lacob wouldn't agree that a 47, 48 win season is enough when you've been champions. But as a fan, I don't know. I probably would take it.
Yeah, it comes down to what your ultimate goal is as a franchise. And given the Warriors have provided their fan base with 4 titles in the last 10 years or 8 years, whatever it is. Yeah, maybe they ultimately decide it's better to keep the core together and just have a solid competitive team. Or do they blow it up and try to bring in, Giannis, Embiid, some massive Kevin Durant style free agent acquisition and go for the title? We'll see. It's going to be really interesting. I will say that, with the playoffs starting now, and the playoffs are a long slog. I mean, the regular season is a long slog. The playoffs are what, Duff, 6 weeks? I think it'll probably run through June. Pretty much every night you'll see games on. And this time of year is really fun because they're playing so hard and it's really good teams. It's high quality stuff. And to the kids out there who are playing, and right now maybe you're playing club basketball and your coaches are giving you some quick hitters, some sets to run, watch the NBA and watch what those teams are running, because they're running good stuff. And I guarantee you, your coach is watching the NBA and picking stuff up. So I always like pointing out to the kids who I coach, like, we're working on Zoom action or Spain or whatever it is. You watch the NBA teams in the playoffs, they're running that stuff. So you can learn a lot from watching those games.
Yes, here comes a little floppy action for Tyler Hero right along the baseline. Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
That's a great point. Great point, Dave.
So moving on, WNBA. This was cool. We had the WNBA draft, Duff. I was flying back from spring break from Florida with my family, and we were fortunate to get on the plane and see that our United flight had DirecTV TVs. And what I loved was that my daughter Lucy, who's a freshman and a basketball player, was so excited that she and I could both watch the WNBA draft live, which was very cool. It was a great event. Very excited for Caitlin Clark, first overall pick. Selfishly, I love the number 2 pick, Cameron Brink from Stanford, but was really cool to see all the interest in the WNBA draft. And the WNBA season starts in mid-May. So basically, the draft occurred a couple days ago. Those players are now reporting to camp. They're going to have 3 weeks of intense kind of preseason. And then the WNBA season runs from May through, I think it's the final playoffs are in like September, October.
Yeah, I love that about the schedule because, the NBA draft is in June, and then you have to wait a number of months. Maybe you can see the top draft picks in summer league, but those games are not always televised, and, they're not really high level competition in some cases. So this is cool. We get to see Caitlin Clark play at the next level almost immediately. And obviously she has done so much for the game, but the overall quality of the game has accelerated at a really impressive pace. And I think it's, pretty well known that the final for the women's NCAA championship drew more viewers than for the men. And that may not be an every year thing, but it's cool that, at a minimum, it's a one-off thing.
Yeah, that's a good segue into the college game. But just to finalize on the WNBA, watch the WNBA. It's really good basketball. And by the way, the WNBA needs more teams because you'll see the women's college game has a bunch of really, really good players who don't end up making it in the WNBA because it's a very limited supply of slots in the WNBA. I think there are, 10 teams, something like that. Obviously, the Bay Area is picking up a new WNBA team affiliated with the Warriors, which is amazing. But, I would love to see the WNBA continue to expand. And in order for that to happen, we need viewers. So support women's basketball, please. On to the college game. So March Madness is done. It was a fun tournament. Duff, I did not win my bracket. I don't know how you did in your various gambling endeavors with the NCAA tournament.
Let's see. We made it fairly far in the survivors pool, but we got knocked out. I think it was North Carolina that took us down, their loss, Alabama. And in my home family bracket, Dave, N of 3, I was co-champion.
Okay.
I did have UConn winning, and I did have Alabama in the Final Four. So I did all right, but no huge payday for me, Dave, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Wait until next year.
Yeah, it looks like you're still in your same house, I can tell you. So you haven't upgraded yet. So on the men's side, UConn went back to back. Congrats to Dan Hurley and his team. They played great basketball. They run great stuff. If you want to see a clinic in efficient offensive sets, just watch UConn men play. They were really good. Great team. They were too much for Purdue. Purdue had a great season. And then on the women's side, South Carolina got it done. Dawn Staley's a phenomenal coach. She had a bunch of talent. South Carolina was kind of under the radar because Caitlin Clark in Iowa commanded so much media attention, and as well as UConn with Paige Beckers, and UConn had a great fun team this year, but South Carolina just steadily was unbelievable and very deep. And Dawn Staley's just done an incredible job with that team. So congrats to
You're really
UConn men.
You're really breaking news now, Dave. UConn and South Carolina won.
You know what? People who listen to this podcast want late breaking news, Duffy. That's why they tune in. And I will say, Tara Vanderveer announced her retirement from Stanford after 38 years. My friend Kate Pay is taking over. So congrats to Tara on an incredible career.
Yeah, amazing. One note on UConn. I looked this because there were some sets that I saw them run, like 1-4 sets. It's a play that we would run with Archie. Very simple, action off of 1-4 called an Iverson, where it's kind of, you start a guy on the weak side and you loop them over the top as there's some action in the middle of the 1-4, and you try and get like a quick sort of at speed isolation. And I saw UConn run like 4 or 5 different variations of that. Sometimes where it's like a little chaos where they're kind of two middle guys and 1-4 kind of circling around each other. And yet somehow, then Spencer pops out on the wing and is wide open for a 3. And so I looked it up. They had over, or maybe not over, 150 sets in their playbook, at least. And more than, there's some blogger out there that, looks up and follows and does video review and counts up the number of plays for teams in college basketball. And this is the most ever since he's been doing it for the last couple of years of any team in college basketball, 150. And the thing is, they execute them well, right? Because you can dilute out the quality of your execution by too many plays. I think virtually every coach has experienced that. You put too much in, you don't have time to go through the details, try and execute it. It's not executed well. Somehow they have this playbook, which is so extensive, but yet they execute in a flawless manner with freshmen.
I think great points. I think a big part of that is they recruit players who are cerebral and can pick it up.
Yeah.
Right. So because you watch UConn men, the ball has energy. I mean, it is flipping from side to side. They're getting swings. They're dumping it into Klingon in the paint. He's kicking it back out. They're constantly making good decisions and really quick decisions. There's that old adage of, kind of make a decision within a half a second of when you get the ball, right? If you're open, shoot. If someone's on you, drive. If nothing, then kick quick. UConn does that. The ball just moves so quickly and they make good decisions. And so I think part of that is they rep it a lot. I mean, Hurley is a taskmaster as a coach, but I also think he recruits players who are really smart, like our friend in Marin, Joey Calcaterra, who fit perfectly into that system last year, right? Because Joey could make good, quick decisions, was a smart player, cerebral player, could knock down open shots. Perfect UConn player.
And Joey, by the way, we'd love to have you on the podcast. We'd love to hear about Dan Hurley's preparation and sort of, how he stacks up, the play development, how they get sort of added into the playbook. How do they get wrapped? How does he fit it all in when the amount of time that you also have to do skill work? You also have to work on defense. You also have to do conditioning. So yeah, that would be fascinating to hear an insider's view of how that works.
Yep. Joey, join us. I mean, we know that LeBron and JJ Redick are listening to our podcast and stealing our glossary segment. And now we want to make sure that Joey Calcaterra is listening and will join us as a guest.
Yes. Dave, by the way, quick update from the homestead here. The generator has now shut off. It's still operational. And I thought you might also want to know that the goats that we've had on the property for the last couple of weeks, they have completely demolished, most of the grass in our backyard. and even some of the branches, low-lying branches on some of our oak trees after climbing up onto the branches. Quite a thing to see, Dave, a goat in a tree.
You sent a picture of that. I was confused. I also want to make sure people understand that the phrase goat is used way too often now as the greatest of all time, but literally Duffy has the animal goats on his property.
I would recommend it, because you got to do the defensible space clearing. Like traditionally, we would have people come out and they would have, the gas powered weed whackers, and it would be really loud, and they'd be, leaving all the dead grass would have to then be raked up and put in the green bins and this and that. And the goats, they just take care of it all. I mean, it just churns through their systems, and they're quite friendly too.
The goats are the goats.
I didn't know, however, that they could climb trees. I mean, these goats, a mom and baby goat, they were up about 15 feet in an oak tree, just chomping away at the branches as if like no big deal. And I had no idea how they were going to get back down, but they did.
Okay, it took us 36 episodes and 20 minutes to get to from basketball sets to goats climbing trees. One thing I want to close the loop on the NCAA, and then we're going to move into more local basketball, but there's a nice segue here with a local player who is going to be playing in college next year that you'll talk about. But the transfer portal is very active for men and women at the college level. Blessing and a curse, right? Gives players the ability to change schools without having to sit out a year. So there's a good side to it. The bad side is it's sad when you have players associated with colleges and you're a fan, and then all of a sudden they're leaving. And I just saw yesterday or 2 days ago, Aiden Mahaney, one of the best players on St. Mary's, a Bay Area kid, went to Camp Alindo, just announced he's entering the transfer portal. And I saw on Twitter or X the list of schools who reached out to him in the 24 hours after he hit the portal. And it's the who's who. I mean, it's Duke, Kansas, Kentucky, USC, 15 schools. So Aiden Mahaney will be a very sought after commodity in the transfer portal. He's not alone. And then on the women's side, close to home, Kiki Iriafen, who's the best returner on Stanford, one of the top, I think, 5 players in the country, has hit the portal, maybe partly because of Tara leaving, but I don't think that's the reason. I think it might be NIL related, whatever it is. But you're seeing a lot of movement in the college game of players, particularly at the power schools.
And this goes back to what we talked about with Mikey Claggett and Jace Butler, that NIL money can be quite different based on the school, based on the geographic location of the school, based on the sport, so that Stanford may not be as all in on NIL as, for example, an SEC school, right, Dave?
Absolutely. Now, it is. I do want to point out, first of all, in our interview with Mikey and Jace, which was awesome, I made some reference to Stanford. I was kind of joking with Jace because at that time Jace had committed to Illinois. Duffy, you're going to get to that in a second. Yeah. But I mentioned that Stanford had a couple guys who had hit the transfer portal, including Andrej Stojakovic, Paige's son, and Jace kind of mentioned like in a throwaway line, he's like, yeah, but he might come back. So when players enter the transfer portal, they are not committed to leaving their school. They can always return. And actually one of the Stanford men's players, Maxime Reynaud, a 7-footer, entered the portal. Jared Haas, the old Stanford coach, was let go. Stanford hired Kyle Smith, great coach, former USF coach, and Reynaud announced that he was returning to Stanford. So he left the portal. So that's always a possibility.
Yep. It's a portal that goes both directions.
Exactly.
Bi-directional.
And Duff, why don't you hit on our buddy Jace?
Yeah, so Jace has decommitted from Illinois. We don't know the specifics of that, but we were told this was his choice. And he got, as you might expect, a lot of immediate interest from other schools. And we reached out to Mikey Claggett. He gave us an update. So he's looking at West Coast schools, but he's also getting some interest, from other power schools such as Marquette. Shaka Smart apparently has reached out just recently to Jace. So the list for Jace right now from Mikey Claggett is Washington, Cal, Stanford, San Diego State, Utah, Texas Tech, SMU, and Marquette. I think he's visiting Washington today, perhaps, and that they may be a front runner, but I think much is still up in the air. But it does speak to sort of the new era in college basketball. Jace committed in the fall, and then, things can change. And, he's now rethinking it. Still a lot of interest. We'll see where where he lands, where he ends up. I would, love to keep a local player. Love to see a local player stay local and play for one of our former Pac-12 schools. I can, imagine, that the travel, across the country to play like Syracuse might be a consideration for anyone looking at these schools now, which is unfortunate. And I'm sure it's going to hurt their ability to recruit, at least in the short term.
Yeah, absolutely. So good luck to Jace. It's an exciting time for him, and he's got tons of options. What a great kid and a great player. Is going to help whatever team he goes to. Obviously, his teammate at Branson, TT Carr, has a year left in high school, but TT's been getting tons of offers and interest, including Stanford recently. So it's going to be fun to see where they end up.
Yeah.
So last thing we wanted to hit on before we get to our interview, where we're re-releasing the Saia interview, which is awesome, is some Marin basketball news. So here we are in the off season. We're in April, and this is a time where any kind of coaching changes will transpire. And we've had a number of coaching vacancies that have opened up. A few have been filled. A few are going to be filled soon. So we thought we'd just give our listeners a quick update on that front. Duff, you want to hit on the boys, and I can handle the girls?
Sure. So yeah, San Rafael has hired a new coach, Colin Hamilton. He's been a long-time coach in Marin. He's been an assistant at College of Marin, Branson, Marin Catholic, and San Domenico. He's been a coach at the Nike San Domenico summer camps. I have never met Colin, but I hear great things about him from Jeff Skaggs and others. I think he was someone who worked pretty closely with Joey Calcaterra when he was in high school. A lot of energy from what we hear, a lot of dedication to the sport and the program, someone who sounds like they're absolutely all in on basketball as their passion. So we wish him luck at San Rafael, other than when he plays Archie Williams.
So I've met Colin. Colin's awesome. Energy is the word. He is just passion, energy, junkyard dog mentality. You'll see him on the sidelines. He's moving around constantly. He's screaming, yelling encouragement. Great teacher of the game as well. Teaches ball handling really well. I think a great hire, and also very excited to hear that Colin is going to have Stevie Johnson join him on the sidelines as his assistant. Stevie, phenomenal skills trainer, was a Branson assistant for Jonas for years, and then was a head coach at Branson for a couple years. Stevie had a big part in developing, TT, Jace, and all the Branson players who have had such success. So congratulations to San Rafael High on a great hire.
Yeah, and they have some talent coming back. Gio Bravelli's got one more year. So we'll see, what type of style Colin builds with that team. They have the potential to play fast, press, get a lot of points up on the board. So, and then Dave, we have San Marin. They have a new hire. Coach Chris Lavadiotis, who is the former Miramonte coach, as well as a longtime Piedmont head coach, really well respected, and has won a lot of games at both those prior locations. And so I think a very good choice for San Marin.
Yeah. And obviously we had their former coach, Con Dunning. Our friend Con was on a couple months ago. Great guy. So congrats to Con on a great run at San Marin, and we're excited for Coach Lavadiotis to come in. San Marin is a great program, and I'm expecting very good things from him. Now, obviously, they lose Nick Cubley, who's a phenomenal player, but they've got some returning talent, right? They're good.
Yeah, we have a couple of their returners on our club team, our 24-8 team, that Tom Poser is the coach. I'm helping Tom out in the spring, including Con's son, Kellen, who is a guard who is very skilled, very savvy. And I think, one of the reasons Con stepped down is to really allow Kellen to sort of chart his own path with the rest of his high school career. So yeah, Kellen is a very nice player. So I think they have the potential to be quite good next year as they kind of rebuild the program. Finally, Marin Academy boys, they are nearing the final choice. We don't have word on who that is. We think it's probably going to be someone local, Dave, and that is it for the boys that we know about. Do you want to talk about changes with the girls?
Real quick on the girls' side, we just heard this week that Marin Catholic phenomenal girls coach Ashley Saia has stepped down. We were texting with Mike, Ashley's dad, and the boys coach, and this is a great thing for Ashley. She's busy with career and family stuff, and she's been coaching and running hard for a long time, and so she's just going to take a step back, which totally understand. We've said over and over again that she's a phenomenal coach. She is actually, and this is opportune timing because we'd already planned on re-releasing Ashley and Mike's interview this week. So the irony of that announcement is interesting, but congratulations to Ashley on just a great run with Marin Catholic. And obviously the just announcement was just made. They have not selected a new coach as far as I understand. We will keep everybody posted on that one.
Yeah. And Dave, in texting with Mike, he mentioned something that, I think we could probably surmise having sat down and interviewed Ashley, and that is that she was just finding it was going to be hard with everything else going on in her life to be all in on the coaching. And she is definitely the type of personality that is got to be all in if they're doing something like coaching high school basketball. And that obviously is reflected in her performance of her teams, the awards, the accolades. And I think it is fair to say that she will be back coaching. We think we're pretty confident she'll be back coaching at some level at some point in time.
Yep. Which is awesome. So congratulations, Ashley. Proud of you. And then two other changes. We knew this was coming. Mike Fulton has resigned and retired from San Domenico after an unbelievable run. Yes, Duffy.
And I understand there's an international search underway for the replacement, that they'll be beating the bushes basketball coaching talent all the way from Bhutan to Botswana.
You are not wrong, Duffy.
But there may be a leading candidate local. There may be someone
closer than Bhutan for that one. So we will announce that when that is official. But Mike Fulton has stepped down. Fulton, the absolute legend, along with the goats in Duffy's trees, he is the GOAT. And another legend stepping away from coaching, university girls coach Mary Heil Nepfel has resigned after a long and wonderful career. Great coach, great woman, amazing player in her own right. And that's a great job at university. And I will keep you all posted on when that position is filled as well.
I'm going to put you on the hot seat, Dave. So there are 3 openings here locally. Are you applying to all 3 of them?
I am not, Duffy.
I'm just trying to get you just a little bit more green in your contract, right?
Some tension in the process, as we say in the business world. Yeah. So, and it's interesting. I mean, we obviously talk a lot about high school hoops, and on the girls' side, San Domenico, Marin Catholic, and University, 3 of the most successful programs in the last, decade or so. So some good openings. Okay, Duff, we've droned on and on. Let's get to, do we want to cover real quick the fundraiser and then get to the interview?
I think we also should do a little shout out to sponsor time.
Oh,
let's run our sponsors.
Let's do it.
We still have sponsors.
We do. We love our sponsors. Go ahead.
We've got Karen Hortsmeyer Real Estate, The Hub in San Anselmo, North Bay Basketball Academy, Medium, a really flash online publishing platform, and the San Domenico Nike Summer Basketball Camps. I just want to mention to The Hub that my son Holden will be dropping off a resume and a cover letter with you this week. And it is a testimony to your organization that someone who has up until this point in his life shown very little initiative in terms of doing anything for remuneration, that he has already latched on to the hub as the place that he would actually like to showcase his ability to do a little elbow grease, make some milkshakes, pour a tap beer, maybe for his dad and his dad's friends occasionally, and serve up some hub burgers and hub fries. So I'm not trying to influence the decision one way or another, Jerry and Rebecca, but just so you know, Holden will be stopping by very soon.
Excellent. Good luck, Holden, with your career endeavors. And thanks to all of our sponsors. And then finally, just to close the loop, reminder, we have a fundraiser that's out there. People can buy Run TMC gear, shirts, hoodies, and proceeds go to cardiovascular charities. We also, want to allocate some of the proceeds to an AED at the Basich Field, which we are pleased to announce has officially been renamed Sean Cannon Field in honor of our friend Sean Cannon. Greg Livingood from Ross Valley Little League gave me the nod that I can announce that. And we love to do what we can to help raise money and awareness for cardiovascular issues. So give us some money, and in the meantime, you can also buy some nice gear. The Run TMC shirts are sweet.
Yeah, we've got some Run TMC t-shirts. We have a Run TMC hoodie. We have 8 days to go as of today, Thursday, the 18th, Dave, and we have 27 items out of a goal of 50. So we need to make a final little push here. Thank you for those who have both bought gear as well as donated on top of the purchase. We have already raised close to $1,100, which is, I believe, enough to purchase an AED, depending on what type we're going for. But we do have a couple other local fundraisers, including supporting a training program at San Quentin, for which we'd like to raise some additional funds. Once again, all the proceeds go directly to these local causes that we've identified, and all are related to keeping the Marin County running and keeping us healthy and heart-wise. So we appreciate the support. Dave, what we're also going to do is put the link to this in the show notes so people can click on that.
Awesome. So finally, let's get to the interview. We don't have a new interview this week, but we wanted to re-release with the wonders of AI. The audio is enhanced and improved. One of our favorite conversations we've had over the life of this show is our conversation with Mike Saia and Ashley Saia from Marin Catholic. Just a really interesting, fun conversation about coaching, leadership, dealing with adversity. Ashley is, as you may recall, those of you who listened to this before, had 4 ACL injuries in her playing career. She was a great player for Marin Catholic herself, played in college at Bentley. Just a really great discussion, and can't thank Mike and Ashley enough for sitting down with us. This was early in the early days of our podcast, and this interview, I think, endures. So,
yeah, we get to hear some stories from Mike's days coaching as a high-level referee, as an official. Great story about sort of how he distinguished himself when trying out to play at Cal Poly. Ashley has some great suggestions for drills, including ones that you and I have both incorporated into our practices, like hold the line, 30 and 3. Yep. And just a sort of great back and forth between the two of them. It was really a joy to spend an hour and a half talking to them. And I'm sure we'll have them back on in some format in the future, Dave. And I want to mention from a technical standpoint that AI is going to have 2 shots at this, because AI took a shot at the initial episode. Then I cut out our intro and outro from that episode. Now we're going to have a new intro, and then we're going to put it through AI again, and we'll see what happens. And Dan Dibley, there will be chapter markers and a transcript available upon request.
Beautiful. Mm-hmm. I hope AI does not cut out the discussion of goats in your tree.
If there's anything it's going to cut out, that's probably it. But I hope it does survive, because, if you haven't seen a goat in a tree, I don't know if you've lived a full life, Dave. And,
if you haven't seen a goat in a tree, then you haven't seen a goat in a tree. Okay, let's get to the interview. Thank you, Mike and Ashley Saia. Thank you, Duffy Ballard. Nice to see you.
And thank you, Dave Levine. Listeners. Yeah. And thank you, Luke Esterkin. we'll take it away on the back end of this episode, and keep listening to the Run TMC podcast. That is the Run the Marin County podcast. All right, let's talk to Mike and Ashley.
Thanks, you guys, for being here.
Thanks for having us.
It's awesome. Here we are. We're above the Marin Catholic Gym. So, Duff, we are joined by Marin basketball royalty. Here we have Mike and Ashley Saia. So, Mike is the boys varsity basketball coach at Marin Catholic High School. Ashley is the girls varsity basketball coach at Marin Catholic High School. Mike is Ashley's dad. So you guys know each other reasonably well. Both are phenomenal coaches, and you guys both were outstanding high school and college players yourselves. We're going to talk about your playing careers and kind of the transition into coaching. But I also wanted to say, I didn't mention this to you guys before, but you both also are striking a great balance between kind of work life and hoops. You both have day jobs that aren't at Marin Catholic. You know, Ashley, you're in finance, right? Wealth management. Mike, you've worked for a produce distribution business for 30 years. So you guys have your day jobs, you have your families, and then you also are phenomenal basketball coaches. You know, Duffy and I have day jobs that are outside the education system as well. So it's good to know that we can have day jobs outside of the school and still have time for coaching and strike that balance. But we're all very busy and very tired, obviously. We're very lucky to have you guys in Marin, and Duff and I are very fortunate to have you on our podcast. So thank you. So I'm going to struggle to try and be brief here, Duff. That's always a problem for me. But I'm going to go quickly through the backgrounds here. Mike, my dad always said age before beauty, so I'm going to do you first, okay? Yeah. So I asked for your backgrounds, and I love that you gave me St. Rita's CYO. It wasn't just kind of grew up in Marin. It was St. Rita's CYO, which is props to that. I was St. Sylvester's back in the day. So St. Rita's CYO, Drake, 1979, team captain, played for Pete Hayward, right?
Yes.
We'll talk about that. College of Marin, team captain, and then walked on at Cal Poly in 1982, same school as our prior guest, Dave Deneen. And then you earned a scholarship, Mike. And Duff, you guessed it, he was the team captain at Cal Poly. And so I want to come back to this, but team captain your whole career, which I love. And I think that's something that we haven't talked about on this podcast, the importance of that role. So after you graduated college, Mike, you started reffing. And you were a very successful high-level referee. You reffed several Marin County Athletic League finals, but then you went on to ref in college, the West Coast Conference, the Big West, the WAC. You ref some NCAA tournament games, March Madness, the Great Alaska Shootout, the Maui Classic, some luminary preseason tournaments. So great career as a ref, and then came back home. And in 2010, you started coaching Marin Catholic, and you've been here ever since, right?
Yes.
So not controversial to say one of the greatest players at Drake ever. Some people have told me he's like top 3. And Jeff Skaggs, Mike, said that when you guys played together in the adult league, that Mike never missed a mid-range jumper and he never took one he shouldn't take. That's pretty high praise, Duff. So just did everything right. Before we get to Ashley, Mike, I do want to do one side note. Your brother, Jimmy, phenomenal coach, Marin legend as well, was on the 82 Drake team. Jimmy's currently at Cal State LA. He's coached at USC, at UCLA, at Cal, Fresno State. He's had an incredible coaching career. Jimmy was a huge figure in my life because when I was a kid at Pirate Camp, he was my coach, and he scared the crap out of me, and he inspired me more than anybody. And he taught me how to play hard, how to play with intensity and energy. So I still think of Jimmy Saia's red face, down in his stance. It wakes me up in the middle of the night. So I love Jimmy, so it's an honor to talk to you.
Yeah, that hasn't changed, and if you probably Google him on YouTube, there are some, they just focus on him on the sideline of the camera, and that hasn't changed at all.
I mean, the guy was unbelievable. And I used to think, like, we're not even on his team. We're just kids out of camp. Relax. But, man, I loved him. Okay, Ashley, St. Anthony's CYO also gave me the specifics. I still like you, but St. Anthony's, man, they own me.
I understand.
You understand. You get it. Your coach, Ashley, was your dad for CYO. We're going to talk about that. Ashley played at Marin Catholic, 2-year team captain, played for Rick DiMartini, yes. Right? Legendary coach here. Ashley then went to Bentley University in Boston, Division II, where she was a recruited walk-on. Injured your sophomore year, right?
Sophomore and junior year.
Sophomore and junior year.
2 ACLs, yeah.
2 ACLs. So we're going to come back to this and talk about recovering from an injury, dealing with adversity, resilience, and all these important traits that make us human beings. And Ashley had to deal with that, and she rose above it, came back, was a 3-year captain, They had a great team at Bentley. They made it far into the postseason. She then went into coaching herself. She was an operations intern at Cal under Lindsay Gottlieb, great coach who's currently at USC, right? And she coached with the Cavs in the NBA. And then you were at Gannon University in Pennsylvania as an assistant coach and Miami of Ohio for a couple years before joining Marin Catholic in 2017.
Yes.
Awesome. So there's a reason we wanted to have you guys on the podcast, right? There's a lot of people we can choose. You guys are great coaches and you're great people. And I just say that as someone who, kind of an independent third party, I've coached CYO for years. My daughter's a freshman and her team, I was always a proponent of us going and watching local teams play. And I would always take us to watch your games.
Well, we appreciate the support.
No, they love you. And so to that end, Grayson Levette is sort of like Michael Jordan to my girls.
Of course.
She's a rock star. She's
Michael Jordan to our girls too.
I get it. Her dad actually emailed us. He's a listener of the podcast. So that's awesome. Thank you.
Hi, Dan.
Yeah, exactly. So, and Mike, I mean, the same thing with watching your boys play. Like they play hard. They play together. They're fundamentally sound. You're always in games, even against some bigger teams, some teams that might be bigger, stronger. I love watching you guys coach. So that's why we wanted to have you on, because this is a basketball nerd podcast. So speaking of Marin Catholic, why don't we start? I'm going to stop talking and let you talk. Let's talk about Marin Catholic. So Ashley, why don't you go first? Talk about the season coming up. Give us a sense for your team, how you're viewing the league and everything. Go ahead.
Yes. So we have 4 returning starters. So we've got a really good core group of girls coming back. Like you mentioned, Grayson has graduated. She's playing at Lehigh now and having a great preseason. And so that's a big loss for us. Probably even more so on the defensive end than the offensive end. Yeah. But obviously she's an all-around player for us. So we've got 4 returning starters and then a bunch of girls that have been committed to fill in those gaps. And I think what makes, me excited for this year is everyone's really improved over the off season and they've been committed to getting better and expanding their game. And so we're excited to compete and looking forward to, another hopefully good run in the postseason.
And it's going to be a good league, right?
Yeah, it will be competitive. Yes. Yeah. So looking forward to that. And obviously, only playing 8 league games will be a little different, but it's allowed us to kind of schedule some different competition. So we're taking what they gave us and we're getting out of the county a little bit and playing some different teams.
Yeah. So let's address that now. We've mentioned this in a few other episodes, but the MCAL big schedule change this year, right? So now we're not playing the home and home anymore. Teams are just playing each league team once.
Yes.
So for a team like yours, you guys, the last couple of years, you've been really good, ranked at the state level. Probably a positive thing for you guys, right? Because now you have more preseason tournaments against competition outside of Marin, where you can really get some strength of schedule benefits, right?
Yeah, and that's a given there, and we have scheduled a really hard schedule.
Yeah.
But, at the same time, our girls like playing the MCAL games and they like playing against the kids that they play with in AAU and getting the fan base and having the schools come out and the students come out and all of that. So that will be a loss, and so I don't know what the answer is, but, like I said, we're taking advantage of the 8-game league this year and doing that. And then whatever the next step is, we want what's best for MCAL. So.
Yeah. That makes sense. Cool.
Dave?
Yeah.
Can I ask? I wasn't going to talk at all, but I have a question. But it always happens. So at the end of your season, you lost a heartbreaker, right? In your final. Was it NorCal?
Semis.
Okay. Yes. And how much did that motivate your returning players coming out of that? Because it could go either way, right? But
it was heartbreaking. Absolutely heartbreaking. It's definitely motivated them. We've gotten a little bit further each year. And so, the goal is getting to state. And then we missed out on an opportunity last year, but that's sports for you and definitely a big motivator in the off season.
Way to bring it down, Duff. What division did you play in the NorCals?
1.
So that's another thing.
We were the 1 seed.
So for our listeners to understand, I mean, MC is 900 students, 800 something students, right? So if the divisions were slotted just by enrollment, you guys would probably be like a D3, D4, right? You were so good, you got brought up to the Division 1 bracket. You made the semis. You lost?
I think you're D2.
D2. So
And
either way,
I think it was that. It's his,
yeah, I think it might have been D2.
Yeah.
Still,
Sorry.
yeah.
how dare you? You got brought up. We need fact checkers, Mike. We were talking about this. You got brought up to play against, really tough competition. You guys had an unbelievable year, and those, we've all been there. Those losses are tough, but I see your girls working. I coach MBBA. I'm in the gym with Alyssa and Jocelyn.
Yeah.
They work hard. They are ready to go.
Yes.
So it's going to be,
Yeah.
it's going to be a fun year. I'm excited to see. All right, Mike, let's talk about the boys side.
Okay. Yes, we played an extra month of basketball last year. We made it into
Yes.
March, and as a general rule, when you always play into March, it's a good season. We overall, our overall record wasn't 500, but we ended up falling up and winning the games we needed to win.
Yeah.
And so going into this year, no secret, when Williams is done with football, he's going to come to basketball.
Yeah.
Popped his head in the office yesterday, which was great to see. And I think what's different this year is the returners we have coming back all have experience. We've got some juniors, some post juniors who will contribute. We've got a couple of seniors that had some minutes last year for us. We got a couple of transfers from Branson who will contribute once they become eligible December 20th. So there is a good core. And I think the thing that is most exciting, if we're going to talk about Marin Catholic in general, is we got such enthusiasm and a skill set from the sophomores and the freshmen.
Love it.
That we're getting 20, 25 kids in our open gyms, and most of those are freshmen and sophomores, and they just want to get in and play. And so it's really re-energized the coaching staff too. And, but it all kind of begins with how we finished last year. We made it to the same game. It wasn't a good night at Marin Catholic.
It wasn't a good night in the Saia household.
Yeah, that was a rough evening, but our game wasn't.
That's heartbreaking.
It wasn't as heartbreaking, but anyway, both those teams we played went to the state. And so
who did you guys lose to?
We lost Half Moon Bay.
Did they beat San Domenico?
They did.
Yeah. They had a big guy. I remember that night we San Domenico, our girls, we were playing that same night, and someone had come from your game, and it was right after your game at Ashley, and I was sad to hear that you guys had both lost. But great season. You did an unbelievable job coaching both of you, those teams.
Thank you.
And Mike, your team, like 500. Did you guys make the MCAL playoffs?
We had a playing game. We had to beat Terra Linden.
I remember that.
Every game we needed to win to extend our season, we won. And so,
it was a fun team to watch. Just grind it out.
That's it.
Don't have to win pretty. You just got to win. Awesome. So, Mike, what are your thoughts on the schedule change, and how does that impact you guys?
I look at on the boys' side, and really, you got Branson, and then you got Redwood, and then probably the other 7 of us.
Yeah.
That I think all have a shot to be in either the top 4 or the top 6, however many they're going to allow in the playoffs this year. And so it's a 1-year trial, and I think we're all okay with a 1-year trial, and we'll discuss it when the season ends. But I think it's better for the county, and if we're going to be a league, then let's be a league.
Yeah.
And I get what Branson wants to do and what Redwood wants to do and what Marin Catholic girls want to do.
Sure.
I get it, but if we're going to be called the MCAL, then we should be playing league games.
Right.
We were lucky enough where we filled out our lower level schedules, but I know that some programs have 17 games out of 26. And, but our JVs are going to San Lorenzo. They're going to Oakland. They're going up to Napa. Our freshmen are going to Concord. We always go to De La Salle, but we're making a couple trips up to the North Bay up to Santa Rosa.
Okay.
So those games should be here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So, but again, I've been around a long time, and so I'm a little more of a traditionalist. So like, for instance, I'm okay that Redwood hosts the championship games,
right?
Even though we may play Redwood.
Right.
Who cares? Right. It's the biggest gym. I heard we had 2,500 kids in there, or 2,500 stands. Got end zone stands. It's
the best.
It's the best. And so, yeah.
I gotcha. Yeah. It'll be interesting. It is a 1-year trial, so that's good to hear. So we'll see how it goes.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thanks you guys. Good luck to you this year. If you play San Domenico in the postseason, I hope you lose. But otherwise,
we scrimmage November 11th.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. Awesome.
To that.
Tyler does a great job.
Yes, he does an excellent job.
All right, let's go to the early days, Mike and Ashley. So Mike, Jimmy is your brother Jimmy 2 years younger?
Three.
Okay. What were those one-on-one games like?
I was just bigger than him. When I'm 11 and he's 8, or I'm 8 and he's 5, we used to, way back I had a neighbor and he was a year behind me. We would pitch Jimmy the football because he got a 49er helmet for Christmas and he was probably about 6. And we said, you're Ken Willard and I'd be Bob Lilly and my buddy would be Dick Buckus and we'd just crush him. That's what you do to the little brother.
That's why Jimmy was so mean to me. Beat him up when he was a kid.
But no, I think Jimmy's fire and Jimmy's drive to always, not that he was ever doubted, but I think he always just knew he had to work extra hard and be extra focused. Yeah. And he burned hot. He burns hot. I mean, he's kind of the mellowest guy you'd ever want to meet, but you put him in the lines and you light up a scoreboard. Or at a camp. And I've seen him at those camps, and that's the most important game of the, in the universe.
Well, the incredible thing for me was going, because we talked about this with Jeff Skaggs, which is an episode that'll come out later this season, but the Drake Adult Summer League, legendary Adult Summer League, which was the best thing in the Bay Area, right? As a kid going to Pirate Camp, and Jimmy's my coach, and then I go at night and I watch him play, and I was just blown. I mean, I remember watching you play, Jeff, Kevin Johnson, right? We've talked ad nauseum about the incredible NBA players playing at Drake on a summer night, but seeing Jimmy play and the intensity and how hard he played defense and just all the stuff he was preaching to us in the line drills and in defensive slide drills. And I see him do it on the court against NBA players. And I can't tell you what an impression that had on me as a kid. So,
and he was sure of himself. He was very sure of himself in a very quiet manner. It was kind of a fascinating read, but I will just say the one-on-one games in our backyard had to do with me and my sister because we're a year apart. Okay. And she was about the same height and she's another one that burns hot.
Okay.
And there were usually tears, but not always her.
So you were an amazing player yourself, right? So when you were growing up, did you play pickup? Because this is I don't know if you guys have been able to listen to some of our other episodes.
A couple, yeah.
I was just talking about like when we were kids. I mean, Duffy's brother literally wrote a book going around the country playing pickup. And it was like a Rick Steves guide of here's where you play pickup in Philadelphia. Like that's what they did when they were in their early 20s. Called Hoops Nation. Check it out. We played pickup, right? And it just feels like today the kids they're just as skilled. They're even maybe more skilled. But the going and playing pickup, no coaches in the gym, no coaches on the court. It doesn't happen as much. Was that?
Yeah, but I would say it was all 3 sports. Okay. When I was growing up in Fairfax, and we had the Marinda Oaks had a great neighborhood. Oak Manor had a great neighborhood. Yeah. The Cascades where Skaggers grew up.
Yeah.
And so it was really all 3 sports, and it was all of that. It was no parents. You just made your own games. If there were 6 of you, then right field was dead. Right. And that's 10-year-olds or 11-year-olds figuring out how to manage an afternoon of competition. And so, but it was really baseball, basketball, football.
Yeah.
Growing up prior to 8th grade, but basketball was definitely part of it. High school was when it was the Drake open court or outdoor courts.
Yeah. Okay. We're going to get to high school in a second. So Ash, growing up.
Yes.
Your dad's an amazing basketball player. He's a coach. He's a ref. When you're 2 years old, are you dribbling a basketball or like, what was your process?
I mean, basketball was just always part of our lives. Playing 2nd grade, Park and Rec in Novato, was going to Drake camp in 3rd grade, and then St. Anthony's started up in 4th grade and, he's had coached me the whole time. So, I mean, I'm assuming I had a basketball in my hands when I was little, and the passion was quick, was early.
Yes. And did you always love it, or was it your dad saying, all right, you're doing this?
I would say I always loved it.
Yeah.
I mean, even, I'm sure we'll talk about this at some point, but like through college, my mom would check in with me.
Yeah.
You don't have to do this. Like just making sure that I'm not doing it because of my dad.
Yeah.
I don't like to do things I don't want to do. So it's like, trust me, if I didn't want to do it, I wouldn't do it.
Right.
So I mean, it obviously was helpful to have someone that was passionate about it also, that just fed the passion. But no, it was my decision to to play.
Awesome. So you go to Marin Catholic, you play for Rick DiMartini.
Yes.
He had won state titles before, right?
I was in 8th grade when they won it.
When they won it with Brooke Smith. So I coached Brooke Smith in 8th grade.
Nice.
And Nikki Moore. It was all me, as I said tonight. So what was playing for Rick like? What was Marin Catholic like? You were 02 to 06, is that right? Okay. So
yeah, so it was great. I mean, obviously coming off of they were coming off a state championship.
Yeah.
Those 5 seniors had graduated, but there was still a bunch of college level basketball players, in the gym, and open gyms were competitive, and
yeah,
the plan was to get back there again. So the intensity was there, but it was always fun. Rick always made it fun. We, do summer camps over at Cal and St. Mary's. And so he definitely made sure that was part of it, but very detail oriented, defense, rebounding heavy. And, it was a great experience. And that's why I'm back here trying to give that experience to the girls that are playing now.
So you were point guard.
Yes.
Right. I'm not saying it's because of your stature, but you're a leader, clearly. Did you play varsity your freshman year?
I did.
Okay. So all 4 years varsity.
Yes.
Did you get playing time freshman and sophomore year?
Freshman year off the bench.
Six man.
And then sophomore year, I tore my ACL. So I was out the whole year. Yeah.
Bad ACL luck.
Yeah. Really bad.
He's had 4.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
All right. But she kept playing.
Yeah.
So how about AAU? Was AAU a thing back then?
I was really into swimming growing up.
Yeah.
And so I was doing that during the summers until 8th grade is when my first year playing for Fulton was the first year of AA for me. And we would only go to the end of the Oregon Trail up in Oregon right after 4th of July. So that was the only viewing tournament that I knew about, let alone, that's where we went. And that was it. And that was the end of our season. We would play through the spring and then end of the Oregon Trail, and then that was that. So,
gotcha.
But no, I mean, the AAU thing, I was never burnt out because I didn't play year round since 2nd grade.
Right.
I did other things, but basketball was always my number one. But I was doing other things, and then every tournament felt fresh, and it was only a couple of years of AAU.
Yeah. So how do you feel about AAU now for your players?
I think there's definitely value there. The exposure's there. Anytime you're in the gym, that's positive.
Yeah.
But, the burnout and the maybe too much sometimes.
Yeah.
Just a game's a game when a game should be a competitive game to win every time, But there's a lot of positives and these girls are in the gym. So that's a good thing.
Yeah. For a player like Grayson, right, who, everything, MCAL, just a phenomenal player. For her, the AAU thing was probably good exposure for her, right?
Excellent exposure, yes.
Because it's a concentrated way for college coaches to see a lot of players in a short period of time. And during the regular season, the college coaches, by the way, they're coaching their college teams, right? So it's really hard. I'm going to talk to you about your recruiting when you were a college coach, but yeah. So AAU it's for the higher level players it's something if you want to get exposure to college, it's probably a good thing, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Mike. High school, Drake, legendary, the mecca of basketball. So in the late 70s, were you guys the best team in the league?
No, I played varsity 3 years, made it to the championship game all 3 years, and came in 2nd place all 3 years.
To who?
So to Novato, and Redwood.
Okay.
In order, yes. And we actually, by our junior year, which was probably the best team I was on, there were 4 teams, and the first place team got a point. And we ended up beating Novato on a Friday night at College of Marin. And then we had to turn around and play them again on Saturday, and they beat us.
Wow.
But that year we were 25-6 overall.
Okay.
And Novato was probably 28-4.
Yeah.
And but yeah, so it started with Eddie Joe, or the early 70s when you're 5th and 6th grade. I think that's when it's just formed in your brain.
Absolutely.
When I grow up, I want to be here and I want to be that guy,
totally.
Along with everybody else. And then we had buddies that were my age, had older brothers on the team. So, it was a community school. And so you really felt a part of the community.
Yeah.
And so that's so it just kind of filtered in, and then it was Walt. When I was a freshman, it was Walt Gillespie.
Yeah.
And so, and you just hope that you could be one of those guys to pass it along to my brother, who was 3 years younger, and they would pass it along to Michael Hayward and Mitchell Pierce and whoever just came along and so
Yeah.
perpetuated for a lot of years, and for a public school, it was really special.
Well, the other special thing about Drake for all of us is the Pirate Camp, right? Which we've talked about now, Falcon Camp. But that brought all of the Marin kids together, and everybody went to that camp, right?
Yeah.
And so your coaches were like Jimmy Saia and Steve Lavin and,
Brett Tabani, Paul Faribuff.
Totally.
It's when you had teachers who were, the coaches who were also teachers who had the summers off.
Exactly.
So they would come and work and make a few extra bucks. They would come work Pirate Camp.
Exactly.
And so you really got exposure to, if you were in high school, you were coaching the little kids, and then a high school camp came, you were being coached by, real high school coaches.
Real coaches. Yeah. It was awesome.
Yeah. And it was so affordable. Coach did a great job. Coach Hayward did a great job of just keeping it so affordable.
Yeah.
And never said no to anybody. I think their numbers were sometimes 180, 200.
Yeah.
It was just fascinating.
Yeah.
And he got it all done.
It's so great. Still going today. Reed Nottingham's running it today.
Yes.
Still doing great. Thank you, Reed. All right. Let's talk about Pete Hayward. Playing for Pete. Pete was old school, right? I mean, a great coach. I don't have the numbers in front of me. Got to be one of the winningest coaches in Cal history, if not the winningest, right?
I would think so. I mean, my brother, they finished their half of his junior year, his whole senior year, 56-0 or 56 in a row. So, they're whatever. I'm going to guess the answer is yes.
Yeah, I mentioned this in another episode, but Chris Fulton texted me after he listened to the episode with his brother Mike and said that Drake was 92-3 in 3 years with that Chris played.
Yeah.
So that's decent success.
Yes.
So what was it like playing for Pete?
It was, definitely old school. And I think one of the best things he did was he recognized who could lead the team,
right?
With him and the way he coached. And I think I always had a tremendous amount of respect for him. And I think he had respect for a lot of the guys who could be the liaison between the coaches and the rest of the team.
Sure.
To move it all forward. Offensive, the word genius gets thrown around, but his offensive concepts, the flex offense, the shooting form.
Right.
He would come in the summer. I mean, everyone said, "Oh, you guys from Drake, you guys are all great shooters." Well, it's because we were taught, that it's all about the elbow.
Yes.
Keeping the elbow straight. If the elbow's straight, the ball's going to go straight.
Right.
Shoot it off in 2 fingers, and it's you got a pretty good success of being a pretty good shooter. And that was all coach.
Yeah.
And he was really, really innovative. It would have been fun to play in his offense when we had the 3-point line.
We talked about this with Fulton. The 82 team averaged in the 80s or 70s, high 70s, low 80s with no 3-point line.
Wow. Yeah.
I mean, you think about that. I mean, even today in a high school game, you get in the 70s or 80s. That's a serious. There's no defense being played. Yeah. But they were consistently putting up those numbers.
Yeah.
That's incredible when you think about it.
But so back to coach, he was. I take a lot of what I was exposed to from him about how to build a program, how to maintain a program, how to work year round to keep the standards in that program.
Right.
He did all that. And a lot of it, it was, other than the intricacies, a lot of it was, there was a chance he was going to be down there and he would open the gym.
Right.
And we could play indoors.
Right.
Which was always a treat. And you always knew that he'd come rolling up on his motorcycle and open the gym on a Saturday or Sunday. And what better place to be?
Yeah. Did you play in the outdoor courts sometimes? If coach didn't open the gym, you were out there. Yeah.
Yeah. And you had to get there early.
Right.
Because you had to kind of get the run at noon, or maybe if you were in the top 15 or 15 there, because if you lost by 12:15 or 12:20, you may not get on that main court again until maybe 1:15.
That's serious motivation.
And that's where you learn to compete. And
Absolutely.
that's where you learned. I'm not going to say that's not where you learn to cheat, but you scratch and claw and call maybe that phantom foul to get the ball back, because you need to get the hoop so you can stay on and play.
Yeah.
And that's really, I think, where a lot of us got that grit.
Yeah.
Of just scrap it.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love that. So how far did you guys go in your high school teams? I know you said you made it to the MCAL finals. Did you guys go far in NCS?
Well, okay. So this is to show you how old I am. NCS, 8 teams in every division.
Wow.
in all the divisions, they took
8 teams
schools.
total.
Yeah. So that year when we had that incredible record, we beat 6 league champions. We beat Reardon, we beat Montgomery, we beat McClymonds. I can't remember. Maybe it was Vintage.
Yeah.
Can't remember everybody we beat. So they took 7 league champions and 1 at large. Berkeley was another one, and we were the only at large.
Oh wow!
So what is it now? 16 times 6 divisions.
Yeah,
96 teams.
Yeah, so we're 8.
1978, they took 8.
Wow!
We were the one at large team.
And how do you guys do?
We went up against Berkeley. We beat Berkeley in the regular season.
Yep.
And they beat us in the first round.
Okay.
But it was a heck of an accomplishment, and we were 5'9", 5'10", 6'1", 6'2", and we had a starting center 6'4", who was the first sub out.
Oh wow!
And we subbed him in with a guy 6'1".
But you guys could shoot.
We could shoot. Yeah.
With anybody.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, I want to shift gears a bit and talk about you guys playing in college, because you both were successful college players. So what was so Ash, how about you? So you go to Bentley, great school.
Yeah.
I know people who went there in Boston, coming from Marin County, flying 3,000 miles to a small Division II school in Boston. How did you make that decision? What was that like for you?
Yeah. So my dad got a list from a friend of schools in Boston. We have a lot of family friends that went to school in the area, and I was, wanting to kind of do something a little bit different.
Yeah.
So we went out there, and everything from Boston College to, D3 schools in Maine, we took a look at. And so it was just us two, and we skipped a couple tours because we didn't like the gym, which my mom was not impressed with.
Hey, that's a good reason.
But
first place you got to go.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So
Forget the dorms.
he wasn't on any other college trips after that.
Way to go, Dad.
But Bentley was on that list.
Yeah.
And, wanted to do business, beautiful school. And little did we really know, the coach Barbara Stevens there is 1,000 wins in the Hall of Fame.
Oh, wow.
Is top notch. And the fact that I got to play for her kind of randomly was, the biggest gift.
So how did you stack up? So when you arrive your freshman year, you're good, you're starting, you feel great, or were you like, oh my God, these people are really good?
I felt in the mix.
Okay.
I definitely felt in the mix. My style of play is making people around me better.
Right.
So, I didn't score a lot, but I had people around me that could score. So
yeah.
I feel like I could add things that kids that came in that were, 20-point scorers, but didn't know how to do the other things. So I felt like I could insert myself into situations that was a little bit different. But, I played a little bit my freshman year. It was the most I played of my whole career.
It's probably your most healthiest.
Yeah. So that was, I was off the, 3rd or 4th off the bench, maybe.
That's great. And you guys had a good team.
Yeah, we went to the Sweet 16.
Awesome for Division II.
For Division II.
That's great.
Yeah.
Okay. So, first, before we get to that, did you get looks from any other schools? Like, were any other schools reaching out to you, trying to recruit you?
Not really.
Oh, the Division III school in
Wheaton.
Yeah. Wheaton, yeah.
In Massachusetts, from Mass. Went on a visit there. She came out here for a game. It was just heartbreaking to tell her no, because she was great. And then I'd coach Bentley camps with her, and so we'd still see each other.
Yeah.
But that was pretty much it. Some Willamette up in Oregon, but nothing really serious. I applied to a bunch of big D1 schools and didn't really make a decision to April of my senior year.
By the way, that's one of the parts of recruiting that's not talked about a lot, is schools will recruit kids, and maybe you got 2 or 3 that you're considering, and you finally choose one. That's great. But when you tell that coach that, say no to them,
yeah,
it's part of the job, right? But they've maybe spent a year, 2 years getting to know you, bringing you out, and we're dealing with that now with.
Yeah. Well, what I've told the girls that have been in that situation so far, from being on the college coaching side, is a no is as good as a yes. An answer's good.
Exactly.
And
straight
so
along.
Try to just ease their,
yeah.
They need an answer. So if you're giving them a no, now they know and they can move on.
Move on.
So as soon as you know that you're not going there, that needs to be communicated, because they do spend a ton of time and effort on recruiting you. And if you've already decided, they need to know as soon as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. I got you. Okay. So for your college experience, let's talk about how you dealt with injury. Now, it sounds like you already dealt with it in high school. So, I mean, you're mentally strong. You've got great energy. You're a very positive person. So when you're dealing with, you love this game, you love playing it, you get hurt. How do you deal with that? How do you stay sane and positive, and how do you come back?
Yeah. I mean, I think the toughest thing was going into my sophomore year, starting point guard spot was open. Point guard had graduated.
Yeah.
I was in the best shape I've ever been in my life. Worked my butt off over the summer.
Yeah.
And then, in first week of practice, made it all through preseason, of course. Did all the track workouts, all of that.
All the crappy stuff.
All the crappy stuff. It was devastating. And, I'd done it before. So I'd gone through it. This was the other knee now. Oh. And all of them were non-contact. So just bad luck.
You're cutting or you're...
Yeah. Planting. And, I really love this game. So I went to Bentley to play basketball. I love my teammates, but love my coaches. So, Coach Stevens was amazing. I sat at the front of the bench for my whole sophomore year and junior year. I did the scorebook. I did timeouts, fouls. I was in on the coaches' huddles at timeouts.
Probably helped inform your coaching.
It 100% did. So I really felt like I left Bentley with 2 educations. I learned from the best. So really kind of tried to focus on that, knowing that, I would be coaching probably in some capacity down the line. But I had great teammates. I mean, you can speak to it. You guys went through it as parents. It was hard.
Yeah, very hard.
Yeah.
But you're still in the right spot. So
that's a great message too, right? We talked about this with KK, do you have advice for kids as they're evaluating different schools?
Yeah.
And I mean, she basically said in so many words, if you get hurt, are you going to still be happy?
Mm-hmm.
Right. So it sounds like for you, coach was supportive, players were supportive, you're involved, you're on a good team, you're learning.
Yeah.
And look at you now, super successful coach, love basketball. But that's also a big part of that is you didn't mope, feel sorry for yourself and say, hell with it. You made the best of it, right?
Yeah. All the coaches made me still feel valued.
Right.
And I could still have a say, but also in the same respect, they're like, we're doing warm-up drills for the first hour. You don't need to stand out here. Go do your rehab. So it's not like, 3 hours of practice, but you need to get here an hour and a half before that to do rehab. It helped, I guess, that I was out for the whole year. So it wasn't like I was going to come and play later where I needed to be at everything. So they were, supportive of, me getting through this and mentally and all of that. But I felt valued there.
So Duffy had a good question. Duffy's a doctor. So what's serious talking to me? That's fun. I'm not now serious.
Validated.
Exactly. That was a fact check. Sure. Duffy's a doctor. Yeah, exactly. Women seem to be at higher risk for ACL injury.
Yeah.
So is there anything you learned from that experience that you have passed on to your players now? Or I think, strength training, obviously, which I was doing. Strength training. And then, I talked about it a little bit before, but just, rest and not overuse. And then also just sometimes it just happens and it just sucks, and in the same breath, it's like, you just got to play every time, everything, because you just don't know, what's going to happen. So that it kind of puts that into perspective. But the rest aspect, listening to your body, we try to gauge, we've been doing too much, or it's a big week of school, get them out of early. Do we need to cancel practice? All that stuff matters. Right.
There's not a science to it that I know. I'm not a doctor, but, strength training and making sure you're listening to your body.
Great. Well, thank you for sharing that. And I'm very impressed with you making the best of that situation. So that's awesome. So, all right, Mike, I want to talk about, Cal Poly for you. We had Dave Deneen on, and Dave was at Cal Poly when they made the transition from D2 to D1. I don't know if you heard, his Cal Poly team was 1-26.
Yes.
They were 301st out of 301 teams in the country. He had some great stories about it. But so Cal Poly, when you were there, what was that program?
The year before I got there, they went to the Division II Final Four. The football team won the national championship.
Oh, wow.
The men's team came in. That's when they had the third place game, and they won the third place game on a 54-footer at the buzzer. I'm in the third place game. So they were coming, and I was coming off of tearing my ligament, the ankle ligament at College of Marin.
Okay.
And I didn't want to go back for my third year at College of Marin. So I I said I wanted to study agriculture. It was either going to be Davis or Cal Poly. I recognized that I was a Division II athlete at best. And I wanted to go somewhere where I think I could play, get my degree, and move on. And I chose Cal Poly and just showed up the first day or find out when the first open gyms were. And that's that. And I went and I kind of went in cold. My JC coach called on my behalf, but I'm sure our head coach got a number of phone calls from guys like that. So we finished. We were number one in the nation early. I think we went out to like a 10-0 start. So because we were ranked because of the year before, and we got number one, and then we finished number 8 in the nation my sophomore that year, that walk-on year, and we made it to the finals of the Western Regionals.
Awesome.
In NC2A, and then
you started as a walk-on. You got a scholarship.
Yes, yeah. I think that the story I would tell, and out of all of it, was to make the team. After when they first started having tryouts, they listed 33 guys. And I was on the team, and they listed on the door, coach's door. I was on the team 26 to 30. The best 5 guys, then the second best, then the third best. Yeah. And so I was playing with guys and I've shared this with my kids. I'm not sure it resonates, but what would impress a coach? So we have 3 days of tryouts. The first day, we lose 6-0, 7-0, 7-1. Yeah. And everybody who gets the inbounds pass takes a shot, even back in the early 80s. That part hasn't changed. So I'm thinking the next day, how am I going to get the coach's attention? So the best player on the team that was a returner was 6'5", 220-pound Kevin Lucas from the New York area, coming back to be a senior. He penetrated the lane. I jumped in front of him, and he just trucked me. He just buried me. And everybody stopped. The coaches were sitting on the sideline at half court, and everybody stops, and no one knows how to ref it.
Right.
And I said, I don't care. Let's call it a block. Take the ball out of bounds.
Right.
And then I did it again later that day. And I think that then after the third day, they made the cut to 15. They cut 18 guys, and I made it.
Awesome.
Now I had 3 weeks to just show them I could play basketball. And I firmly believe that if I didn't do that, I wouldn't have a college career to talk about.
And that's the equivalent of, Tom Poser telling the CYO kids, be the kid that dives on the floor in the evaluation, right?
Absolutely.
That's the equivalent.
That's it. Yeah.
Or the kid that talks, or the kid that slaps fives.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny. My daughter is playing freshman at Redwood, and her first fall league game, she came over to take a charge and she broke her wrist. And her coach KK said, so the good news is she took a charge. The bad news is none of the kids are going to take a charge now because she broke her wrist. Yeah, exactly. So kids, if you're listening, take the charge. Coaches love it.
Yes.
Mike, I want to talk to you about being a team captain, because you obviously charismatic, great guy, very positive energy. You're a team captain in high school. You're a team captain at College of Marin. You're a team captain at Cal Poly. Ashley, you're a team captain. We haven't brought that title up a lot in this podcast, and I want you to talk about, how do you view the role of a team captain?
Well, I think, I know what Jeff Skaggs says, and that was very nice. I am not even trying to be humble. I was pretty good at everything. I wasn't really, I never visioned myself, being a great basketball player. Maybe other people do, but I never thought of that. So what, because you're not always going to make all your shots. You're always not going to have good games, but can you always be the team leader? Can you always lead the guys? And I said, well, that can be a constant.
Right.
And that's what I felt like I was really good at.
Yeah.
And so, I think, when you have these different teams, you just kind of see who's going to take the reins. And I felt confident I could take the reins. I felt like I could lead everybody and set the right example and be the conduit between the coach and because we all got to coexist and have a good experience. And so I wasn't that I wasn't confident in my ability, but I knew the constant would be being a leader, being a team captain. And so I never sought it out, but I think hopefully by my actions, either the team voted team captain or the coach appointed a team captain.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't a resume builder or anything. I think it's just something that I knew that I could always offer, whether I was playing or not playing. The being a leader was always something that it kind of came naturally, and I was more confident, I think, in that sometimes than in my game.
Yeah.
So that's probably
great.
why I was a team captain.
It's an important thing. Coaches care a lot about who the captains are. I mean, it's a big deal.
It is a big deal.
Yeah. Okay. I'd be remiss, Mike, if I didn't ask you a little bit about reffing. We talked to Daryl Rory about this. He had nice things to say about you guys. He said you both got on him once last year, but it's fine. He forgives you.
I apologize.
He said that you apologized.
I was like,
I did.
losing sleep over it. It's like, that was my bad.
All right. So, Mike, reffing college games. I mean, any war stories, any notable coaches who got on you? Like,
yeah, the coach that was most difficult to ref was Billy Tubbs when he was at TCU. I didn't have him in Oklahoma.
So Oklahoma,
I had him
yeah.
at TCU. He just wanted everything. He wanted everything.
So how do you handle that? Do you just say, coach, enough? Or do you engage with them?
Well, I was pretty fortunate because I was, I think, 33, 91. I was 30 when I got into Division I. And I was very fortunate that the cruise that I was on there was a guy who was probably 55 who had 4 Final Fours under his belt, and a guy who was 48 who had 3 Final Fours under his belt. And I'm they have the referee U1 and U2.
Yeah.
They would call me the U99.
Right.
And I looked like it. I looked brand new.
Right.
I'm sure I felt brand new, and I'm sure I acted brand new. So, they, as a coach, they're gonna go find the puppy. They're gonna go find the less experienced guy because they want calls like they all do.
Sure.
At that level.
Sure.
So I would, they would come by and say, Coach, they would say, Mike, we've warned them. So we got your back, and I felt very comfortable. They said, you just ref the game. We'll take care of the sidelines.
Okay.
And so that was a lot of that. And then, I ended up whacking Billy late in my career and at a Big West, a WAC tournament in Las Vegas. So I ended up getting the last on him. I've had 2 T's. That T, and I threw out the Cal Poly coach at St. Mary's.
Oh, wow.
He wanted to get thrown out, though. He wanted to go.
You can tell.
Yeah. Those are my only 2 college coaching T's. I wasn't a big T guy. The only other story I'll just tell is UNLV is at Wyoming, and it's a regional game, but it's before you could go to the monitor. There wasn't a technology.
Yeah.
And there was a transition, and I'm running the trail and we're going the other way. I got to run like the length of the court, and I take a peek, and a guy is holding his own nose in his hand, God. And there's just blood everywhere. It's a crime scene, and I didn't see it.
Wow.
I didn't see it, and nobody saw it. But out of deductive reasoning, we just said
there was a foul.
That happened. Yeah, and we knew the guy who was close to him was 6'9" kid, and So, but that was like a 2-day process where you're not sure if you're going to keep your job. They end up suspending him because they got another video view of it. But at the time and right after the game, you got one coach who's mad because this kid's got a broken nose and you didn't call a foul.
Right.
We ejected him. I don't think we called a foul. And the other coach is saying, "Why'd you throw my kid out? You didn't call a foul." So yeah, those are a couple situations that you just unravel.
That would be a tough one. Did you
inspect the elbow for blood on the elbow?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
CFI,
probably what we did. We knew who it was, and and probably shame on us that the physical contact was probably going on. And we probably didn't address it or get on it like we should have.
Yeah. So at the college level, do you find, I asked Daryl this question too. I mean, my frustration as a coach is when you got a crew and somebody's calling it tight on one end and the trail is maybe letting things go. And then you go to the other end of the court and now the trail is under the basket. And so you just have this imbalance.
Yes.
So as a rep, when you see that happening, how do you handle that?
Well, you got to talk about it in the pregame, and hopefully your pregames are detailed enough with your crew chief who's saying, this is how we're going to call the game. And, you can sometimes, at least at the college level, who the coaches are, who the players are.
Yeah.
And because in the Big West and the WAC, we their confidence had a big Monday game.
Right.
So if you weren't reffing, then you at least saw them on TV. And, there was a fair amount of TV games even in the 90s. And so you have to be familiar. So you were kind of ready for how the game should be called.
Right.
But it's really the responsibility of the crew chief and if your partner gets a ticky-tack one at this end, you may want to find one at the other end. But if he totally kicked it, then you can't make that up. You just got to live with that. Otherwise, and I think the one thing, again, kind of being a team, they don't remember who's good on the team or who wasn't. Either the crew was really good or the crew was
the refs sucked or the refs were fine.
Yeah. So
exactly.
Yeah, but I think if you have strong crew chiefs, and I was really, really fortunate to have really senior guys to work with and learned a lot from.
Awesome. All right, I want to get into coaching. My last question for you, Mike. Most famous coach you ref? Like, did you ever Coach K?
I ref Coach K in my first NCAA game. It was at Rupp Arena.
Okay.
I had Wolford versus Duke, and you can imagine that was a 1/16. And the fun part about that was it was Rupp Arena because Kentucky was in Florida somewhere.
Yeah.
And it was the year after Leitner hit.
Oh, wow.
Buzzer beater.
Yeah.
So the people that didn't travel with Kentucky just came to that game just to boo Krzyzewski and boo Duke. So there was 25,000 people there.
Oh, wow.
And they went up 3-0. And then it was like 27-3, and CVS moved off the game and went to another game. So I was probably on the.
I'm sure the officiating was excellent.
Well, I remember when he got the NCAA patch in the mail.
That's pretty cool.
That was a big deal.
It was a huge deal.
Yeah.
And it was like going to, is it coming? Is it not coming? And it was really cool. But yeah, I think we only got to watch it for about 8 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it moved.
It moved on.
Yeah, you got a FedEx package on Saturday. You don't know if you're coming. And they're only taking 96 guys in the country. So to get that, my last 2 years
that's really cool.
Thrill.
Ashley, did you ever see your dad officiate in person? Did you ever go to the game to watch?
I was such a nerd that I think Santa brought me twice. I think I went down to LA to watch him ref or to watch Uncle Jimmy coach. And then I went to New Mexico State at the pit.
No, New Mexico.
New Mexico at the pit with Uncle Andy and watched him ref. Now that's an experience because everyone in the arena hates your dad. Versus like, oh, they're coaching, sometimes they're cheering, it's like I'm 8, 10. I mean, I'm not very old, and like you're watching your dad just get booed.
They didn't start the ref, you're awesome.
Yeah, no, they did not.
Let's go, ref. Let's go.
They did not. And then his last tournament was the Maui Invitational. And so we all went out for that, for the last hurrah.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Well, as we said to Daryl, right? I mean, it's the most thankless job. You do an amazing job, but nobody notices you.
Yeah.
Right. That's the way it works. Okay. We're going long, but we got a few minutes left. We got to talk about coaching. You guys are two of the best coaches in the state. So it's interesting. I was at the Dominican women's practice a couple of days ago. Tim invited me and I had a really good time. And it was interesting. They scrimmaged a lot. I mean, he did a few drills at the beginning. They go right into it and it's 5-on-5. They're working on certain things, but basically I'd say 80% of the practice was scrimmaging. And I've heard this from other coaches. How do you guys, Ash, I want to start with you. What's your mix of, in kind of a mid-season practice, let's say, drills versus just playing live scrimmaging? How do you balance that?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, and I think my assistant coaches would say that we don't scrimmage enough. We shoot a lot, like a lot.
Yeah.
So that we can knock down shots. I mean, we can draw up whatever we want. If it doesn't go in or the girls don't feel comfortable coming off a screen a certain way, it doesn't really matter. So we definitely do, we drill a good amount. And then I would say probably the last half an hour of each practice is, 20 minutes, half an hour is scout for the other team. So we'll run, play live with putting in their offense or breaking a press or whatever it is.
Right.
That kind of mid-season. But I think my assistant coaches would say we don't scrimmage enough.
So how about early in the season? I mean, and mix of defense versus offense. So I get that you guys shoot a lot and that makes sense because you guys are your teams are really good shooting teams and that helps. By the way, newsflash listeners, making shots helps winning basketball games. So defense versus offense early in the season. Do you drill more defense?
We've had such a good core coming back that already has kind of known our defensive philosophy. So early, I tend to get our stuff in, and especially if we're making adjustments from the year before. So it kind of depends, but you've got a list of things that need to at least get in by your first scrimmage. So it might not be good, it might not look good, but at least we have a press break that's in, or something against the zone that's
got
in,
sideline out of bounds play
that they can run. So those first couple of weeks, you're kind of spinning through some things, and obviously talking defensively because that's extremely important to our program. But our defensive philosophy is pretty well set. So they will not kind of in the summer. So,
Mike, what's your strategy on it's? How about back to the scrimmage versus drills question?
Well, I think you start with the drills, and you start out with formations, and then you build out to that's like an on-ball pick and roll, how to defend it. And you can obviously do both. And then you build out to your motion offense with that and how you're going to defend it. I would say the scrimmaging part, it's tricky here at Marin Catholic when our football team is so successful, and we're usually reliant on a player or two, an impactful player or two that we have to wait for, that you end up, it's like almost like a classroom where you're teaching a lesson,
right? And
then a couple new kids get inserted, and then it's a challenge to keep the curriculum going,
right? And
have these kids come in and try to play catch up. And so a lot of times scrimmaging can at least, it gets the football guys up to snuff that they're playing, and they get their wind. Yeah. And then you just kind of coach them in the technique. So I would say we probably do a little more scrimmaging when we get whole.
Got it.
Hopefully, and we're rooting for our football teams, so hopefully mid-December.
Right.
And I think, hate to use the word load management, but in our little world, when you have so many games and in between games, and if you have some starters playing heavy minutes, the practice in between, you can, kids want to play.
Right.
They want to play in games, but they just want to play every day.
Yeah.
And so you can get 6 through 13 or, whatever it is, and just keep the back end guys on the court the whole time, and they're getting a good run. So
sure.
Part of that is, I know Ashley talked about, just being valued. That part is, and then they got to stay ready, especially if you're having so many games, and if the back end guys aren't playing,
right,
then they've got to stay ready. So part of the scrimmaging is part of the conditioning. You always want to condition them with a basketball if you can. So I probably lean more towards the scrimmaging part.
Got it. Do you guys have similar kind of styles when you're coaching, you think?
I think so. I mean, I'm fortunate enough that we both have our lifeline and Uncle Jimmy, I've taken more sets off her than she's taken off of me. That's for sure. I won a couple of games with her.
10 years of college coaching experience. She's probably got a good playbook.
Yes, her out of bounds plays.
Ashley, I need you to send me some of those plays.
Me too.
But I would say, it's.
Do you watch each other's practices?
Yeah, we butt into each other. Yeah. We go usually 3 to 4:30. They go 4:30.
Yeah.
So, no, she's amazing. I mean, she's. There's no mystery. I know you need good players, but there's no mystery of why the Marin Catholic College program is the way.
So weird. They're just always consistently good. At least 2017.
Yeah,
it's weird. I don't know why.
That's very nice.
Oh, it's great. It's very nice.
But yeah, no, I think we both have the same general philosophy of, providing a really supportive, fun environment that's also super competitive. And we're going to get after it, and we're passionate about it. You can't do this if you're not passionate about it.
Sure.
You shouldn't be doing it if you're not passionate about it, because your kids aren't getting what they need. So, that just general philosophy is that. And then, I was coached by him for 5 years growing up, and a little bit in AAU, and that's where you learn all your basics. We're doing shell, drill, drop, rotation in CYO.
Yep.
So learning all that stuff so early, and then, so the basic stuff is the same, and then it's just layered off into what our team needs and what his team needs.
I think we coach it, my philosophy is I like to coach it the way I'd like to play it, the way the fans would like to see it. And so If you can accomplish all those things, you got a pretty good product.
Absolutely. All right, Ash, favorite drill.
Oh, we're doing this drill like for our ball handling where the defender just like fouls them and rides them on the side.
Yeah.
Just to like keep our line versus press or like attacking the paint. And it's been like the most productive where you're like, oh, you didn't do this drill and we weren't very good. We started doing this drill and now we're a lot better at this. And the girls kind of have fun with it because they're like banging into their teammates. And,
Josh, they like, sweet, I can foul Alyssa.
a pad.
We don't do a pad. We just get right up and then they've got to
like
go right through
court?
your hip. We just go sideline to sideline.
Okay.
But that's like one drill that, I don't know if it's my favorite, but the one that I've been like, oh, it actually like has translated into games.
How about your favorite shooting drill?
Favorite shooting drill. We do something called 30 and 3 in college. As a coach, we did 50 and 5 and all 5 spots on 3-point line. Got 5 minutes and you can't leave your spot till you made 10. So 50, if there's still time on the clock, you go to the top of the key and just keep shooting. We don't have a ton of practice time here, so we do 30 and 3.
Okay.
So 6 makes at each spot. And
how many people at each basket?
We try to just go like 3 shooters, 3 or 4 rebounders, because it's a little chaotic because we're trying to get a ton of shots up. But they like it. They have a number that they've gotten. And then we ask it's competitive and it's game-like and conditioning. And so that's, I would say, is my favorite shooting drill.
Awesome. Mike?
We do a 4-on-4 closeout drill where you get 4 spots on the court and you pass along the sideline. Then everybody crosses over to close out and swing the ball. And then we implement like a ball screen and how we're going to defend it. And then they play live out of it. And sometimes we're going to do this 10 minutes. And all of a sudden everybody's just doing it so well. And the kids are having so much fun. And they don't even think they're scrimmaging and they're drilling, but we're not keeping score, but we're just rotating through. But it's a drill that I think everybody expects to do every day. Yeah. And the coverages, are we going to trap it? Are we going to ice it? And we're going to hard hedge it? And we just put in different things, but it's you can get a lot done with that and you can get your 13 or 14 guys, moving. And that's the one thing, you learned about baseball baseball, like when I was growing up, is everybody stood around while a guy hit and took 2 bunts and that was it. Now it just drives me crazy when there's so much standing. So I hate idle time. So the 4-on-4 closeout is,
that's awesome.
It is really, really, and Andre Damien, who's been, who was with Brett for all the years and has been so fortunate to have him going into year 2. I've had a great staff all 14 years. Staff's been great, but Andre introduced it this way. And so it's really,
that's great.
It's been fantastic.
Yeah. Those small sided games are awesome.
Yeah.
Right. Like 3-on-3, 4-on-4, different constraints. We were talking to Tyler Gaffney about that. It's great.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right. Well, I could talk to you guys for a lot longer, but I know Duffy's going to get mad at me. So let me go to crunch time.
Oh, it's my fault.
You're a great foil. And Siri didn't yell at me this time. Okay. Crunch time. Quick answers until I ramble on.
How are we doing this? Alternating?
We're going to go Ashley first on this one.
Okay.
They're both going to answer each question. Okay. Ashley gets the first draft choice on this one. Ashley, toughest player you've ever played against?
Paris Twins at Piedmont.
Oh, yeah.
So 2.
Daughters of Bubba Paris.
Correct.
Famous 49ers.
Yes.
I watched them play. So Courtney
and Ashley.
Yeah. And they went to Oklahoma? Is that right?
Yes.
Did you have to guard them?
I did sometimes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Took a charge, I think.
I did take a charge.
Listeners, there's a height differential.
Yes. By like a foot.
Okay. Mike, toughest player you've ever played against?
Ken Cooney, Novato.
All right. Not Buck Chavez, because you played with Buck Chavez.
With Buck Chavez, yeah.
That's right.
And I'd have played with Ken Cooney in adult league.
Awesome.
In the summer league.
Okay, Mike, favorite coaches, players to watch, high school, college, pro, whatever. Just who do you like to watch?
What I used to watch when I was reffing was Bob Thomason at UOP.
Yeah.
I liked his way because he never had the best players. He had the number 1 draft.
Old Candy.
But even when I was reffing, not knowing that I was ever going to coach high school, I watched what he did with his players, and he was always someone I was always fascinated with. Huh. I would say my dad asked me the same question. Who gets you nervous at the high school level? And the answer is Brett Tamani.
We only have 50 years of coaching experience.
But it wasn't only the experience. It was his way. It was his, he gave it the impression he was just so sure of himself, and his teams were just so well prepared.
Yeah.
And you just knew you had to have everything done tenfold when you're going up against a Brett Devani team.
Awesome. Great answer. Okay, Ash, favorite coaches, players to watch, high school, college, pro, whatever.
I would say just like end of game situations in general.
Yeah.
At whatever level, you know, whether you just turn it on or it's the end of his game.
Yeah.
And you're talking about why did you do that? How did you do that? What were you thinking? I would have done it this way, you know, or that's what I was thinking. So just that, like the strategy, especially at end of games, which he's really, really good at.
All right, Ash, we're up 3. There's 8 seconds left. They have the ball. Are we fouling or are we letting him shoot the 3?
He would foul. I would probably let him shoot a 3,
okay,
depending on the scouting report.
Okay.
Right?
That's always the tough one.
Yeah. Yeah. Joey Calcaterra in 2017, we were up in the Jesuit tournament, and we weren't going to foul, and he stuck his head in the huddle. He says, "We're going to foul."
So you're up 3.
We're up 3.
Yep.
And he goes, "We're going to foul." I says, "Well, you're the ones that have to do it. If you're the 5 of you that are on the court, if you guys don't buy into it and get a defensive rebound, I'm all in." And,
okay.
And it worked well in our favor. But Joey spoke up.
Love it. Okay, Ashley, favorite gym in Marin?
Me, Marin Catholic.
Here we are.
I'm biased.
So Jeff Skaggs told us that it used to be back in the day, the stands were all above.
You see the stairwell, the markings of the stairwell.
Yeah. Yes. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
We can see the shots going up right now. Yeah. We heard the basket being lowered about 20 minutes ago. That's awesome.
What an authentic touch.
Open gym.
Okay, Ashley says Marin Catholic. Mike?
Got to be Drake.
There you go.
Got to be Drake.
That's the
best shooting gym.
That's the correct answer.
Yeah.
Sorry, Ashley.
That's okay.
Okay, Mike, dream team. You're heading down to play pickup, Drake Outdoor Courts. The old outdoor courts, not the one now, the ones where the swimming pools is now. Who's with you?
I mean, just total home cooking.
Yeah.
I'm not going to apologize for it.
Great.
Am I on the team?
Of course you are.
Okay.
So you and 4 others.
Oh man, but just royalty. You got to go Eddie Joe.
Yeah.
You got to go Walt
Gillespie.
I'm going Steve Spencer.
Love it.
And I would just put Buck in there.
That's a tough squad. So were you playing 2 or 3? What are you playing?
I played mostly that. One reason why I think I was good at Cal Poly is because I was our 4-man at Drake, and I could rebound.
Okay.
I could, that's so I could play a little bit of 2, a little bit of 3, and a little bit of 1. But I could play the 3-man at Cal Poly. But it was because I was kind of a 4-man at Drake. We had Steve Spencer was our point guard. And so there you go.
When we talked a lot about Spencer's legs with Dave Deneen, we want to talk about his fabulous legs. Okay, Ashley, dream team.
All right. I went with college women's players. I went Sue Bird, Elena Deladon, Tina Charles, and Aaliyah Boston.
That's a tough squad. And you bringing it up?
Yeah, Sue Bird's going to have to play the 2.
Yeah, come on, Sue, move over.
I want her team to play Mike.
Who's guarding Buck?
Deladon.
Yeah, that's true. She's pretty good. All right, very important one. Favorite Marin restaurant, Ashley?
Soul Food.
Good answer.
Il Fornaio.
Ooh, nice. That's the second Larry Mandel restaurant. With someone else said Poggio. Okay. Favorite coaching saying or aphorism or, one-liner or whatever. You got anything?
Show me, don't tell me.
I like that one.
I don't have one as good as that, but I always mail and connect. Like high fives or, reconnecting, good, bad. And they know what that means, or if they see me doing this, slap my hands, they know.
Literally, we're just talking. Who are we talking about this with, Duff?
Fulton talking about connecting. Get connected.
Yeah, it was a different. Yeah, so Fulton, we start every San Domenico practice with like the oldest school drill in the world, the weave, right?
Yeah,
3-player weave. And whenever everybody says the name, say ball, we're communicating, and when we're not, the energy's bad, we're not on. Fulton will yell, "Get connected." Like that's his thing. So connectivity is so important. And anecdotally, Ashley, last night you helped our St. Sebastian CYO evaluations, like the 3rd graders.
Yes.
And Tom Poser sent me a text and just said, Ashley Saia was unbelievable. And he said that she had the kids communicating and complimenting each other and giving each other high fives. And it just, the energy in the gym was so positive. And it was really great. It was basically like, going forward, we need to change the way that we do evaluations to do that. Like Ashley Side has changed our evaluations forever from 90 minutes. So thank you for that. But
it was super fun. So
third graders are pretty cute.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question. Most important question. All the Saias are playing horse. Who wins?
I think
Mike's being very quiet.
Yeah.
That's the right answer.
it's Grandma Jean.
I'm going with my mom.
Grandma Jean.
Okay,
my
really?
mom.
She could shoot it?
Absolutely. She would be doing the dishes in the window or in the window. And it was more a thing with when my friends were there and they would say, Miss Saia, come out. And she came out and she had a little corner, about a corner 13-footer. She'd hit it and go back in and go on her merry way.
Mic drop.
Yeah,
That's awesome.
I think I got to go with mom.
Awesome. All right. Well, you guys have been so generous with your time. You're awesome people. You're awesome coaches, fans, listeners. Go out, support Marin Catholic this year. We're very fortunate to have Ashley and Mike Saia in our county and in our league. So thanks, you guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us.
And thank you. You guys are so gracious to us and so gracious to the community of Marin and the basketball community of Marin. And I think just want to say thank you for making the effort and the professionalism and the way you guys go about doing this. This is really exciting, kind of re-energize the community. So thank you for all you do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Hey there, podcast fans. This is Duffy Ballard, and I want to remind everyone about our fundraiser. It's called Keep Running the Marin County, a Healthy Heart Fundraiser. We are selling our gear, t-shirts, and hoodies for good local causes that support heart health here in Marin County. And we have 1 week to go before this fundraiser comes to a close. So we want to make a pitch to check out the show notes and click through to Custom Ink and check out the gear and get your drip going and support the community and cardiac health. Dave.
What Duffy said.
All right. Let's go, Luke.
Burke's on his feet. He looks up and gives me a grin and says, "Hey, dude, you too must be from Marin." Marin County's A-OK, from Tampa, Stinson, all the way to MA. Fresh organic veggies in the market every day.